11 people were injured as a result of Russian attacks in the Kherson region, according to Ukrainian police. 3 children were reportedly amongst the injured. Moscow's forces attacked the area with artillery, mortars, and multiple launch rocket systems. The Russian military also used drones to drop explosives on targets. Residential, administrative, and educational buildings were damaged, along with critical infrastructure, according to the regional authorities. A 63-year-old woman was reported to be hospitalized, along with a 16-year-old who is in critical condition. The situation in the nation remains dire following Russia's invasion, but Ukraine is pushing back. They reportedly hit a military airfield about 1,800 kilometers into the Russian border, damaging a supersonic bomber plane, according to a Ukrainian military intelligence spokesperson.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has described China's economic support to Russia's war in Ukraine as a source of great friction. The Italian Prime Minister's comments followed her meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Monday in Beijing. It was Giorgia Meloni's first face-to-face meeting with Chinese leaders since Rome withdrew from the Beijing-funded multi-billion-dollar Belt and Road Initiative last year. Meloni wants China to become a key player in helping to end Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. Moscow's ally, Beijing, is accused by NATO of playing a decisive role in the Ukraine conflict. China, which did not condemn the invasion, says it is neutral in the conflict. It does not deliver weapons to Moscow. It, however, provides it with essential equipment for its war effort. Bilateral trade between Russia and China climbed to around $240 billion last year.
Hungary has simplified its entry conditions for Russian visitors who no longer need to face security checks to enter the country. Earlier in July, Hungary quietly introduced a fast-track visa system for 8 countries, which includes Russia and Belarus. The new policy simplifies visa restrictions for the visitors and enables them to move freely to other EU countries. The European People's Party has voiced their concern for the eased restrictions, as they believe it could pose a risk to national security and create loopholes for espionage activities. The president of the party sent a letter to the European Council president calling for EU leaders to take appropriate countermeasures. The Commission confirms they will clarify with Hungarian authorities that the scheme corresponds with EU regulations.
For our position throughout our policies, Russia is a security threat to the EU, and hence all instruments at Union level, at Member State level, need to ensure the safety of the Union and also to take into account the security of the Schengen.
Earlier this month, Viktor Orban met with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. The Hungarian Prime Minister received backlash from EU leaders as his meeting came shortly after his visit to Kiev to discuss peace talks with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Prime Minister Viktor Orban is known as Putin's closest ally in the European Union and has routinely blocked, delayed, or watered down EU efforts to extend assistance to Ukraine.
Temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius and continuing wildfires are causing havoc in North Macedonia. The heat wave that arrived from Africa is devastating the country. Fires are blazing in national parks and burning houses to the ground. Firefighters, locals, police and military have been fighting the wildfires for weeks, with the scorching conditions expected to continue. Germany urgently requested its citizens to leave Lebanon amidst fears of a major Israeli military response to Saturday's deadly rocket attack on the Golan Heights. The nation updated its travel warning to Lebanon, saying that air travel could be cut off and that a further escalation of the conflict cannot be ruled out.
Es gilt gerade in dieser angespannten Situation aber auch weiterhin eine Eskalation und einen regionalen Flächenbrand zu vermeiden. Das machen wir auch immer wieder mit unseren Partnern deutlich. Alle Akteure sind aufgerufen, ihren Einfluss auf ihre Verbündeten in der Region zu nutzen. Das gilt insbesondere für Iran.
The news comes as Israeli strikes continue to hit villages in southern Lebanon. Israel is considering its response to a rocket attack from Lebanon over the weekend that killed 12 children and teenagers in a town in Syria's Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Hundreds gathered in the town that was attacked for the funeral of a 10-year-old boy that was killed. Since October the 8th, violence has flared across the border between Israeli troops and the Lebanese paramilitary group Hezbollah. Israel said it was holding 9 soldiers for questioning following allegations of abuse at a facility where Palestinians were held throughout the war in Gaza. Israeli media reports military police officers who arrived to detain the soldiers were met with protests and scuffles. Dozens of protesters came to show support for the soldiers, waving Israeli flags and chanting shame. The military has generally denied ill treatment of detainees.
Multiple landslides triggered by torrential rains in southern India have killed at least 63 people. Authorities say many others are feared trapped under the debris and that the death toll may continue to rise. The landslides hit hilly villages in Kerala State's Wayanad district. Rescuers were working to pull out people stuck under mud and debris, but their efforts were hampered due to blocked roads and unstable terrain. India's weather department has put Kerala on alert as the state has been lashed by incessant rains.
Venezuela's opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez has announced that his campaign has proof to show he won the country's disputed election in which President Nicolas Maduro was named victor. The opposition party's leader, Maria Corina Machado, told reporters they've received more than 70% of the tally sheets from Sunday's election.
Con las actas que nos faltan, aunque el CNE les pusiera el 100% de los votos a Maduro, no alcanzan a Edmundo. Con lo que ya tenemos, la diferencia fue tan grande, la diferencia fue apabullante.
Maduro has accused the opposition of wanting to create a political crisis, as he considers his win to be conclusive. It comes as thousands of people demonstrated across Venezuela in protest against the official result. Although the demonstrations in Caracas were largely peaceful, riot police used tear gas to disperse protests in some parts of the country.
Holidays are approaching, and while some are dreaming about relaxing in the sun, many people won't be able to get away. An EU report has shown that in 2022, 40 million European workers were not able to spend a week away from home. And that number is increasing, with the cost of going abroad being one of the reasons.
Le coût de la vie, de toute façon, ne va jamais en diminuant. C'est toujours en augmentant, donc tous les tarifs sont toujours plus chers. La raison, évidemment, c'est l'économie mondiale. Et le budget vacances, c'est quand même un fameux budget. Il faut quand même compter minimum, même pour une personne, 1500, 2000 euros. Donc si vous êtes à 3-4, ça chiffre vite.
Working conditions can also be to blame.
Op dit moment werkzoekende, dus heb ik gekozen om hier te blijven en werk te zoeken en niet op vakantie te gaan.
Compared to 2023, 2 million more people will have to stay at home this year, making up around 14.6% of EU citizens.
And what's shocking is, it used to be the case that working in Europe meant you could afford a holiday. 5 days, we're talking a week away, either in your own country or in another country.
According to the European Trade Union Confederation, holidays are key to avoid discrimination towards children, but are also important for workers.
It's also unsafe for workers, so workers need to have time to recuperate. That is seriously important for addressing burnout and making sure that you come back to work restored and refreshed.
Around 30% of people in Romania, Cyprus and Greece are not able to afford a week away from home.
Sports fans battled the heat outside Olympic venues and fan zones across Paris as the French capital experienced scorching temperatures and cloud-free skies. Though the 2024 Olympic Games had a rainy beginning at the opening ceremony and some competitions had to be postponed, the weather has improved in recent days.
We're being very smart. We have 2 bottles of water, and the water here at the games, the water in Paris, you can drink it from the tap. It's wonderful, and they have all the spigots around, so we're just keeping our bottles full, and it's on a day like this, you have to do that because it's very hot.
Enjoying the summertime in Paris at last. We have been waiting for this for many weeks, and now we feel like the summer has really started.
Soaring temperatures will impact not only the athletes competing at the Games, but spectators, tourists and Parisian residents. Meteo France issued a recommendation to restrict going out in the hottest hours, to stay hydrated and to wear hats.